talking about the houses, baby. I am Fox Redsky. I am your astrologer, your host for Astrology Obsessed, and I am here in the beautiful Puerto Vida, Costa Rica, living my life, enjoying this beautiful, beautiful moon line, ascending moon line that I live on. So today we are discussing the houses. If you are new to astrology or you're just trying to get a little bit more information, I'm here to discuss this with you and really kind of give you my perspective in terms of what the houses mean. So the way that I look at the 12 houses is kind of like being an infant and growing up and going into old age. So the first house, let's talk about this. So the first house, which is typically ruled by Aries, this represents you. This is your body. This is your personality. This is your ego, and depending on what time you were born, this is also your ascendant. And what's really important about this house is whatever planets we may have in there, whether they're in exaltation or they're not, this is really about loving yourself and knowing, hey, I'm me and it's okay to be me. That's what this house is all about, you know? Imagine a baby, they have to learn that this is who I am, Fox. All right, now we go to the second house. So the second house is normally ruled by Taurus, and this is the house of, imagine a toddler, and they learned their name, they know who their name is, but now they learned that these things, these toys I have, this mom I have, these people I have around here, they belong to me. So we're learning as we incarnate into these bodies that we have personhood, and now we learn that we have these material things. So this house represents the money that you'll make, the possessions that you'll hold, and how do you value material possessions in this world? Are you going to take care of those material possessions? All of these things are what the second house determines, the money that you generate. Now let's talk about the third house. So we know who we are. We know that there are things that belong to us, and now we are learning how to say what we want, say what we mean. And this house is typically ruled by Gemini. This is the house of communication, the third house. And so this also rules siblings, neighbors, short trips. This is really all about what we learn initially, all that little information that we learn to really bring us into awareness and acclimate ourselves to this earthly world. So number 4, the fourth house, let's talk about it. So the fourth house has to do with legacy and home and is normally ruled by Cancer. So the fourth house, we've learned who we are. We've learned these things belong to me. We learned we have siblings. We've learned that we have a neighborhood. Now we're learning that these are the people I come from. These are my ancestors. In the fourth house, we're also dealing with historical and generational trauma for some people. This fourth house, this is like, okay, I have certain roles I have to play in this family that I incarnated in. And so the fourth house, it will also tell you a lot about your home came from and your IC line having to do with where your core is, your root is. The next house, my favorite house that I would love to talk about, is the fifth house. So we've learned this is where I come from. These are my neighbors, these things belong to me, I am this person. And now we're learning how to play. This is the playground and is typically ruled by Leo. And I have a stellium in the fifth house. So that means the majority of my planets, my things are in the fifth house. And the fifth house has to do with creativity, children, love interests, promiscuity, love affairs, all those things. This is the house of creation. Whether you're creating a child, creating a project, creating music, art, it's very dramatic, it's very fun. This is the fun house, I'd like to call it. So now we're in the sixth house. So we've learned, okay, I can enjoy myself, I'm a part of this family, these are my neighbors and siblings, this is how I communicate, these are the things that belong to me, I am this person. The sixth house is your responsibility. This is these are the chores you have to do. So this has to do with the house of work and health, and is typically ruled by Virgo. And the Virgo is the servant. And so in the sixth house, we are learning how to be of service to our family, to our community, and to ourselves by taking care of our health and our mental well-being. So and also giving ourselves purpose in this life through a career, a job, something that we're going to give to the whole. Okay, now we are done with the first half. This next half is the 7th house. Now we're out of ourselves, and now it's about the other. We're at the 7th house, our descending line here. It is about the other. And these are the partnerships we're going to attract. These are not just the romantic partnerships, the long-term romantic partnerships we're going to attract. These are our business partnerships. These are also all of the ways that we don't really need. We're trying to integrate our own shadow and our own like little bit of darkness that we don't want to show. Like our ascending, we're like proud and loud about it. Our descending, it's a little bit more like those are some habits that you may have to learn how to integrate into your body and do some of that shadow work so that you can be the best version of you. Now we're talking about the 8th house. So the 8th house is typically ruled by Scorpio, and this is the house of death, rebirth, transformation, inheritance, and this also is a merging of finances. And so typically after you get married or after you're in a long relationship, you merge your finances. And this also talks about maybe making money through stocks, an inheritance. So this definitely plays with the taboo as well. So this area, whether you have a lot to work on in this lifetime or you're doing some experimentation in this lifetime in this, it really has to do with looking at the darker and seedier parts of ourselves, of the human consciousness, and again with the blending of the two energies. You're merging your energy from just being a single Aries-like individual into that scorpionic, deeper, powerful, potent energy that is an expression of the human psyche. The 9th house, so this house is ruled typically by Sagittarius, and this has to do with foreign travel. It has to do with university, higher learning. The sage among us, the ones that is trying to share the gospel or spread ideas, they are usually, this is your higher thinking. As you get older, you're no longer a child, you're starting to expand your horizon. This really shows you what kind of viewpoints you're going to have, your political viewpoints, how you see the world. The 10th house. So the 10th house, which I know everybody likes to fixate on, and this is really the pinnacle of why you've incarnated in this body at this time, has to do with career, our public persona, fame. Everything that you're trying to amass, everything you're trying to accomplish is in the 10th house. So let's take a look at this. So you also have your midheaven right here in this house between the 9th and the 10th house. And this is really your calling, what you're really feeling called to do, and how the public sees what you're doing. Whether, it's your online persona or your persona in general in your community. The 11th house. So the next house is the 11th house, and we are going to talk about hopes and wishes. This is the house of the community. This is typically ruled by Aquarius. So an Aquarius and that Aquarian energy is all about humanity, bigger picture. This is like, you've merged and now you're coming apart again. So it's like we come into this life, we're coming through, we're expanding, connect, we merge with somebody else, and now it's time to break away. And this 11th house is just that. So it's like all of our friendships, all of our connections, our network. A lot of times the internet is very much associated with this house, the 11th house, because this has to do with connections and all of the connect. And so here in this house, this is where you're going to learn to work together as a group and how to be a part of the whole. How are you contributing to the whole versus just your own individual goals and your own individual path in this life. Now, the 12th house, this is a very special house. This is ruled by Pisces. And this is the house of undoing. And really, it's like You emerge from the spirit world and you become conscious, and now it's time to go back and you let yourself go. And that's what that Pisces Neptunian energy is about in the 12th house. Sometimes it's the secret enemies or the undoing, but it's really the unconscious part of you. The part of you also, when you look at it from like before you were even incarnated into this body, when your mother was pregnant with you, this is that beginning meeting the end. And so the way you can look at it and integrate it into your own life is, how can I make my unconscious positive or negative habits conscious so that I can have more control in my life, and that I can be aware and integrate whatever things I have to integrate. Sometimes our first program that we learned from our first 2 caregivers was not the best programming. So in the 12th house, if there's something that you need to look at it in terms of your old programming and reprogramming it, that is where you're going to find it. Anyway, I really enjoyed just talking with you. I hope you enjoyed me. Again, if this is your first time learning astrology and learning about the planets, I feel very honored. There are many books, many astrologers out there. This is just my perspective and what I learned as an astrologer growing up. Wherever you are in the world, I am sending you mass love. Continue your journey. Continue learning. Do it. You got this. I'm so proud of you. Mwah.